Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Fix Yo Shit Show. Teaching you two things today. We're always talking about the shit show that exists out there and then how to fix that. And today, I am, by the way, honored to have you on as a guest, Juan.
Thank you, Mike.
Juan Safos is I'm going to read this actually. He's a bilingual law enforcement professional with over 30 years of service in San Diego Police Department. He's worked with internal affairs, gang enforcement, community policing, is now a master instructor at the Police Academy, teaching right now self-defense skills, hand-to-hand combat skills for the new upcoming graduates. He trains and recruits use of force, defensive tactics, de-escalation, and physical fitness. His core belief, which I love, strong and skilled officers are less likely to kill. It's powerful. Strong and skilled, less likely to kill.
It sounds serious.
It does sound serious.
Yeah.
There's some serious situations out there, though.
They are.
So today we're going to be digging into what's broken, what needs fixing, and how this conversation affects every person out there. So I want to dive right into the beginning, right?
Let's do it.
You got two sides of this. You've got, and by the way, Juan also, you've been such an incredible supporter of me. I've MoveU for about a decade now.
You guys have helped me.
Man, you put it to work. You know, it's like I teach, but people have to do it. You know, when you do it, it works. And so you do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's truly my pleasure. Whenever you particularly, and people like you that put work in, it's why I do what I do. You know, and you've done it. Not only that, but you're at the workshops, you're emailing me MRIs. I'm like, try to go through this plan, and then you'll go do it.
Well, Mike, can I share a story real quick?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? What really just made me so thankful of what you do is the fact that my doctors wanted to cut me. They recommended surgery. I got a second opinion. They said, no, you got to get surgery. I sent you those MRIs. You looked at them. You suggested what I should do. Next thing you know, they tell me, you're not ever going to be able to do a pull-up. Ever. You know what? Within a couple of months of doing your program, boom, I was able to have full mobility. I was able to get stronger. And now, I mean, just a couple of days ago, I did a workout that included 5 rounds of pull-ups and something else.
The things you were never supposed to be able to do.
Never supposed to be able to do. But you know what? Thank you.
Oh,
thank you for that.
What's my point? You know, it's just so reciprocal. And first of all, I acknowledge that. Thank you for sharing that with me. And I know that whenever you're doing it, though, you're training the next generation of law enforcement, and you're integrating that mindset, that philosophy with them. And so, you know, my overall hope is that everybody takes this accountability, this shit fixing mentality, and ultimately as well keeps them away from the doctor.
You got to stay away from the doctor.
Man, especially for chronic injuries. I mean, like I don't know what's happened. They've taken chronic pain. They've taken it and made it theirs. I'm like, what? Where'd you take it? You stole it. This doesn't belong to you. I'm trying to fight back, but they rained $50 billion in ads. I'm like, geez, how do I grab this back in this hailstorm of...
Well, you know, what patients don't understand is that they are in charge, not the doctor. Right. They make suggestions, and maybe I'll take your advice. Maybe I won't.
Right.
You need to be empowered.
And right, many people, and I'm sure with law enforcement, you see this, as though maybe they hurt their back, and now all this paperwork's filled out, because some claim, right? And then they got to go through this whole rigmarole of the doctors. And this whole work comp thing that work comp was actually how it all started. I don't know if you know this, but back in, I think, the 50s, this is how it was. People were something, I forget what job it was. I think it was like railroad or something, but it was railroad, I think.
Okay.
But they were getting pain on the job. And now that's how back pain even began. Being like claimed with insurance, but it was started with workers' comp and that, and now it's turned into everything we see today, which is this thing where go to the doctor, please tell me, I hope it's not this, waiting for my x-ray results. Oh no, it's this herniation, I'm doomed or whatever. And I go, Why did you take this thing? It's not, and this is the challenge I have. It's like how to separate when someone does need a doctor and a surgeon and when they don't.
Right.
Someone's in a car accident, they break the shadow of their femur in half. I don't recommend doing MoveU yet for that. But for everything else, fix your shit.
Yeah. You know, with cops, we carry this gun belt. And the gun itself weighs, I don't know, 15 pounds or whatever it weighs.
The belt?
And yeah, the belt. And it's pulling you to one side, depending if you're left-handed or right-handed. So you're walking around, you know, you have a career of 20, 30 years. You're walking around with this gun that's got your pelvic tilted to one side.
It's not balanced, the belt?
It's not balanced, no, because the gun is so heavy on one side, right? And so it's pulling you to one side, and we just take it. We think, hey, we're going to have, it's presumptive that we're going to have lower back pain. Instead of being proactive and fixing your back, maintaining your back so that that doesn't happen to you. And later on, you end up having to get surgery because somebody suggested you need to get surgery. And that's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Frustrating. Even today, you know, we met before this with John, and really liked him. And John was like, you know, my back's still good, you know, fingers crossed. And the truth is like, if you're the word proactive, fine, proactive, but if you keep your body aligned, if you keep it moving properly, you don't need to hope or wish or pray for any of those things.
Right.
Because you're in control of it, rather than trying to rely on luck.
Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck. Okay, so here's what I want to dive into. Now you've got, and please correct me if I'm wrong here. If we just take this thing politically, okay? We got the left side. Police are dangerous. They're abusing their power, and it's in a way it's like defund. And then the right side is more of like you're neutering them by like showing the strength, and them being strong will deter people from fighting crimes. And so when you got these two in here, do you kind of feel those sides? Is that accurate? And if so, what is your take on that?
Well, Mike, you know what? What I see is that it creates frustration for the police officers. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what to expect from their administrations and whether or not they're going to be left out to hang if something goes wrong. What I believe is you got to be proactive. What we need to do is train police officers better than the standard that is currently in place.
Is this standard, and so for the record, this is San Diego. How do the San Diego standards compare to nationwide standards?
Well, you know what? It's not that different. So let's talk about defensive tactics for a second, right? Defensive tactics, you get 80 hours in the academy, right? 26-week academy, you get 80 hours. 4 hours a week for 20 weeks, which is great.
4 hours a week.
4 hours a week for 20 weeks.
Okay.
Right. And
that's just in your section.
Just in one section, yes, in the academy. So like each recruit gets that amount of hours.
Okay.
Upon graduation, it's on you. And the amount of training that you get, it's probably about 2 to 4 hours of defensive tactics training every 12 to 18 months.
So they're required to do this?
Yeah, the 12 to 18 months, 2 to 4 hours. That's it. But that's all you get. Imagine, you've done jujitsu.
You work out for 2 hours. I'm shaking if I train jujitsu, if I don't go for 12 months and I train for my first hour, I'm just shaking the rust off for the first two. I shake the rust off for the first 2 weeks.
It's a perishable skill.
I do feel we keep core competencies though, like, you know, being able to using your center of gravity. But in terms of the actual skills you might need to submit somebody, yeah, perishable skill.
Yeah. You can't possibly train 2 hours, 4 hours in 12 to 18 months and expect to be able to actually be proficient.
How many people go above and beyond the minimum?
Few. I mean, there's a police officer that I partnered up with and she's a professional fighter as well. And she had free classes every Friday night for any law enforcement or military person in San Diego County.
Cool.
At a local jiu-jitsu gym in National City. And
It's a generous offer.
generous. The owner of the gym, pro-police, pro-military, he never hassled you about joining or anything. He just wanted to give back to the community.
Right.
You know what? There'd be maybe 6 people in there every Friday night.
Out of how many?
I mean, we have thousands of people in San Diego County.
How's that broken up?
It was open to everybody. Federal, state, local, county. Anybody was welcome to come in. And it was well advertised. We only get maybe on a good day, a dozen officers out of thousands.
You look at like my novice self, I'm looking at military. You look at like Marines, or you look at SEALs, you look at they seem continuously well-trained.
It seems that way.
And it would seem that the law enforcement standard would be similar to that.
You would think, but that's a big misunderstanding. A lot of people think that because you're a peace officer that you're well-trained, and it's actually the opposite. It's a sedentary lifestyle that we live, and unless you get up off your butt and start training, no one's going to do it for you. No one is going to pay for it. No one is going to allow you to go on your own time. On company time. And so it's entirely up to you. And a lot of us, we just don't do it. We just don't do it. Very few people actually either work out or train some kind of martial art.
Well, so how do you feel like, based on, I mean, you have tons of experience in this. You look at the officers who are very well trained physically, like yourself, moderate, and then the ones that do the bare minimum, and they're out in the field.
Ooh.
And they run into circumstances. And even regarding circumstances that might cause them to injure themselves, or circumstances where they shoot somebody or don't handle situation correctly, what do you see a correlation with the people who are more fit and more skilled and their ability to handle, de-escalate, subdue, versus somebody who has minimal training? What does that look like?
Well, Mike, I think that someone who is continuously training, right, whether you're lifting weights and you're using some kind of martial art, if you are proficient, you are well versed at managing your stress, and you're able to de-escalate situations. You've been punched in the face before. You've been under 315 pounds on your back.
With no spotter?
And no rack. So you've been under those stressors before. You can handle it. You know if you can handle it. You take somebody who doesn't train at all, and they get punched in the face. What do we expect? What do we expect? What can the chief of police or the sheriff of a county expect from a person that doesn't train the first time they get hit in the face?
Man, this is crazy to think of it. I guess I've never thought of police officers like the average civilian.
Sure.
That went through maybe a little bit here and there, but they've been relatively sedentary. And now they're just like, you might as well get my uncle. And then someone like I never thought of it like a civilian. You know, I kind of hold them to, these officers, they're well-trained, they have ability to handle this. This is part of their continued training, but it's really not.
It's not. And it's up to each cop to get out there and train. The problem is that life gets in the way, Mike. So, some of us have children. There's always something.
Yeah, there's always something.
There's always something.
I have 20 excuses every morning why I shouldn't get in the cold plunge.
Oh, I can come up with more than that. But you know what? The thing is that we're always going to come up with excuses. And life gets in the way. I get it. Life gets in the way. We all have stuff going on. But if you really care about your profession, you really care about serving people, you are a real guardian, then you make it a priority to get out there and every single day align your values with your daily activities. So you must get out there every single day and do something to further your values. So if I value serving the community, I need to get out there every single day and I need to work out. I need to lift weights. I need to box. I need to do jujitsu. I need to do whatever it takes so that I am a professionally trained peace officer so that I don't overreact and I don't kill anybody unnecessarily.
So I hear how you keep, like, some questions I have, and we'll have like, where is the issue the recruits? Is it the quality of recruits? Is it the type of people? Is it obviously the funding of this training? Like, what I hear you saying though, it's just like what I say is fix your shit. It's like, hey, whatever the law, look, things change, new captains come and go. We got to take care of ourselves. And especially these officers have a duty to take care of themselves and to be a reflection of what I don't know why they got into this, but that goes to my question about them. Who are these people that are has it changed over the last 20 years, these recruits? Like, what's changed?
Well, I mean, you know what? Sure, every generation's different. You know, we have a generation coming through that they don't know life without a mobile device.
How old are they, by the way? The average recruit age?
The average recruit, I would say probably mid-20s.
Okay.
Probably mid-20s.
Okay.
They're young people. But, you know, some of them, they never saw 9/11 on television.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. I mean, you know, just have a different perspective. But these people are coming through and nothing, the thing that's changed is that we're not holding a higher standard so that, you know, we can adapt to the changes we see in the community.
Who's not holding a higher standard?
Ooh, well, you know what? I feel that, you know, at least for myself, I need to worry about what I can control. So I can control how I train my recruits.
Right.
And so I'm going to try to worry about that. And so I need to train them to the best of my abilities based on what I see in the community, the trends that are happening, how officers are being assaulted, what kind of assaults they're experiencing. You know, with social media, it's great because there are so many videos out there and you get to see some of the things that are happening across the nation.
Now the cameras on them too.
Yes. And so now we can kind of take lessons learned and apply them to training. I feel that sometimes, you know, the state mandates what we train, right? And
you have state mandates.
We have state mandates. So they developed the curriculum. So like the California Commission of Peace Officer Standards and Training, they pretty much developed the curriculum for us to teach. And there's some flexibility in there. Mm-hmm. However, you know, for instance, recruits are exposed to 3 scenarios, 3 person-on-person scenarios.
Okay.
Where during the defensive tactics curriculum, where they may have to interact with somebody, right?
What are those?
They might have, well, we can't really say too much about what they are because, you know.
Oh, you don't want people to know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll tell them when the day of.
Yeah, they'll find out.
They'll find out. But they'll be well prepared. The thing is, so like, for instance, you know, one of the, in part, one of the scenarios, you have to be able to retain your weapon, show that you can retain your weapon when somebody's trying to take it from you,
I see.
Right? And so my point is that 3 scenarios, Mike. That's it.
How many do you realistically see if you can put them?
I think that we need to go through as many scenarios as possible because look at how violent our community has become.
Oh, my goodness.
Right now, there's like 1 officer being shot a day, every 24 hours. Yes, in America.
1 a day.
1 a day. Yes. Now, if our community is so violent, we need to stay up with the times and provide officers with the right amount of training so that they can get to go home at the end of the day.
Okay, do you think the powers that be are intentionally setting cops up to fail?
You know what? I like to believe that that's not true.
Me too.
I like to believe that's not true.
I understand that.
I think that we need to have more people that have the powers to be's ears so that we can educate them on what is actually needed by the boots on the ground.
You're saying that a lot of these policies are made by people who are behind desks and shaking hands with politicians, and that are they don't have really, but I'm assuming they have people that are relaying to them,
Sure.
like you, kind of know what's going on.
Kinda, yes. But what I feel is that we need more. We need more. I mean, like 3 scenarios. We're giving you 3 situations that you can possibly encounter. How many situations do you think a cop is going to encounter in the first week?
2 guys in a bush over here, some guy coming with a knife. That's probably not one of those 3.
They're endless. Endless scenarios that can happen. So we have to do a better job of providing you with as many scenarios as possible within this 80-hour curriculum so that you can at least be able to manage your stress, and you've seen a variety of different possible situations that you may encounter when you go in the street.
Is that one of your, like, you've been doing this, and everyone out there, I tell you this, Juan is a guy you want, like, for the force. Like, I still got to learn. I'm still trying to learn sergeant. I'm still trying to learn this thing. But I know you're from the heart. And what are some of your greatest frustration? Look, you're doing what you can. Hey, this is my window. I got these people here. You're doing what you can. You're training them you can. What are some other, or if not maybe the biggest frustrations you have? Like, man, if I could just, like, if we could do these couple things here, there would be the officers we safer, there'd be less deaths. Obviously, one of them is what you're doing.
Sure.
Physically training them.
Another frustration that I have is just the physical fitness standard. There's a standard in the academy to get hired, the PAT test, with the physical agility test. And you have to pass that. You have to drag a dummy for X number of yards. It's like 150 pounds. You have to run 500 yards. You have to jump over some fences, solid fence, chain link fence. You have to run over or run through an obstacle course, so kind of testing your agility and speed, endurance. So that was implemented in 1985. 1985. So it's not that old, and they've made a couple of adjustments to it. The last one I think was in like 2012. But other than that, when you graduate and you pass your 1.5-mile run, your push-ups and sit-ups, that's the last time you see a physical fitness test. So you're allowed to get as
fat as you want.
As fat. I was going to say out of shape as possible, but
I'll
you know what? That sounds more
come from
accurate.
me.
So you're allowed to just do whatever you want. And I get it. This lifestyle of being a cop, take, for instance, you work in graveyards, right? And sometimes because you were in court all day, you don't have time to food prep, right? And where do you eat? Roberto's. Or some, I don't know, Rigoberto's or whatever, some Bertos. And so that's where you're eating. And what are you eating? You're eating a carne asada burrito.
Yep.
Nothing against carne asada burritos, but
once in a while, okay.
Once in a while, but when
Daily?
you're a cop on graveyards, that's what you're going to eat. You open it up, you throw some rolled tacos inside, you crunch it back up and roll it back up, and you eat that, and now it sits in your stomach all night. And now you're going to get out of the car and chase somebody down? I don't think so. Not today. So this lifestyle allows you to get as big as you want. You have to be able to, you really need to be disciplined. You need to food prep for the whole week. You need to bring your food to work. You need to just be disciplined, get the sleep that you need to be successful, to be able to save lives, including your own.
Right.
Yeah. It's a lot to ask of people, but if you want to be a cop, that's what you need to be able to do.
So why not? It sounds relatively simple that every year you got to pass that same physical fitness test that you started with.
It sounds like it. It should be the standard, but once you graduate, that's it.
Everywhere in the country.
Well, I don't know if everybody in the country, at least, most agencies have no standard. Most agencies. In San Diego County, there are, I think, 2 agencies that give you maybe 30 minutes to work out on the clock if time permits.
I see.
And that's a great step forward.
Because I look at firefighters, like I volunteered a little bit with them. They seem like they're in better shape than the cops.
You know what? I don't want to admit to that.
Oh, really? I see. Okay. All right. But maybe because a lot of them are kind of like sitting around the station waiting and they all have gyms in there.
They have gyms in there. They go to parks. They run at the parks. They are like on standby with the radio, and they get the call. They just jump in the truck.
Right. They're not like patrolling.
They're not patrolling. Plus, they have a kitchen.
They have a kitchen there.
They go to Sprouts.
Right.
Park the rig in front of Sprouts.
Right.
And get all the food, organic. They get to the station. Somebody cooks. I mean, they got it made.
Nah.
We can't do that.
What is there like beef between? Is there kind of like friendly beef between fire and?
That's what I understand.
Oh, that's what you understand. What is it?
It's just friendly.
Oh, it's friendly.
It's friendly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into like injuries.
Sure.
So yeah, like I'd like to dive in a little deeper into the aspect of, we need to dive deeper into the aspect of self-defense and what people, maybe let's go there right now.
Okay.
In terms of, you got pepper spray,
Taser,
some sort of a semi-auto gun, like a 9.
A 9, a 40, a 45.
You get to pick which one?
You at least with San Diego PD, you can pick.
Is it your gun?
Mine was my gun.
Oh, you can have your gun.
I had my gun.
But they can appoint you a gun if you don't have one?
Correct.
Really?
Yeah.
What do they give?
I think they're giving I don't know what they're giving these days.
Yeah. What do you like?
I have a SIG.
You have a SIG?
Uh-huh.
Cool. That's a good gun.
It didn't malfunction, which is good.
Never malfunction.
Not on me.
Could you have a revolver if you wanted?
Ooh. There were some people that were grandfathered in back when I was kind of new.
Yeah.
But they did away with revolvers.
Yeah.
You can have a revolver like a backup gun.
Oh.
Like a smaller gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you also have I'm a gun guy, so now I'm like, I want to know. You can also have, some of these guys have shotguns in their
They have,
right?
Usually everybody has a shotgun. We have bean bags. We have 40 millimeter. We have AR-15s.
Oh, okay.
Not everybody, but a lot of people have AR-15s.
What's in the shotgun?
In the shotgun, I'm not a gun guy.
Like buckshot or something? Or are they shooting like rubber? Something like that?
With the bean bags, yeah, it's the bean.
Oh, okay.
The bean bags.
It's just meant to knock them back.
Distract you.
Distract them.
I mean, with a hard impact.
A loud bang and a hard impact.
Yeah.
Okay. So but generally speaking, these guys got a gun, pepper spray, mace, and then
impact weapon.
What about, an impact weapon too?
Yeah,
They still use the baton?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. And so in terms of the usefulness of all of those and the effectiveness, I know we were talking earlier to an officer. She goes, I can't even get the taser half the time if they're on drugs. It doesn't work. The mace doesn't work. I'm like, oh shit, what are you left with? You're left with your gun. What's your experience with the usage of those? And like, what's the order in which you're trained to?
Well, you know what? When I came through, we were using nunchucks. That's the impact weapon.
What?
Nunchucks,
really?
Yeah. But they were more for control holds, like put on wrists and arms to control people. But I always felt pretty good with my hands.
Yeah.
So I always, 9 times out of 10, felt comfortable grabbing someone, controlling them, and holding them until I can get them into handcuffs safely without having to use any greater force. That was me, though.
How many scenarios do you think you ran into throughout your career where you actually had to use force?
I don't know, Mike. I would
20?
say like
100?
Maybe 100.
100 times.
Maybe 100. But like serious scenarios, I think there were only 5 times when somebody tried to kill me.
Oh, 5 times though.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. I was a cop for many years.
Yeah. And so you, throughout that time frame, did you use the taser? Did you use those other tools?
I used the nunchucks a few times. I used the pepper spray a couple of times, but mainly I used my hands. I felt comfortable with my hands. Something that I find these days is that some of the recruits don't feel comfortable in this reactionary gap, in being close to one another and having to hold on to someone or use your hands.
Is the taser it shoots it out, right? Like it's probably not the most effective.
Close range, no.
Super close.
No, you got to be like 7 feet.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Because if you get them and they
It
touch
won't
you.
spread.
Oh, it's supposed to spread?
Yeah.
What does it do? It shoots out a couple prongs, right?
Yeah.
It needs to spread a distance before that works?
To be effective.
Oh.
If you're too close, you got to put it in a different mode.
You're not going to use pepper spray close either.
Well, I mean, you're not going to spray it into their eye, so you need to, be about a couple feet away.
Yeah. So you got the baton.
I just feel that when you're within arm's reach, those tools are ineffective.
That's what I'm getting at.
You
it
need
sounds
to
like
move in circles and angles so you can have enough distance and time to be able to use those tools.
Right.
But if I'm inside, let's just
even the gun,
let's do
close
it.
range.
Well, you don't want to fight over the gun if you introduce the gun into a fight.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, unless somebody is exhibiting life-threatening behavior or deadly circumstances, there's no reason for me to introduce a gun into a fight.
Unless they're introducing something deadly in there.
Something deadly or something that's going to cause great bodily injury to me.
What's your experience with me? Do you have a couple stories of maybe where someone used you, maybe someone or somebody didn't have the skills and then shot versus maybe a story with you about how you used your grappling?
Sure, I have a story. I was downtown, 4th and Broadway, and I was coming out of court when I saw a BMW, an M3, make an illegal turn.
Yeah.
And I was heading back to headquarters, but I saw the car, nice car, made an illegal turn. I still had some time before I had to go and talk to my boss. So I was like, hey, let me stop this car. I walk up and there's some gang members in the car. One of the gang members said, hey, in Spanish, says, ahí viene el mayate, which mayate is a derogatory term for a black male. And so he says, hey, here comes this black guy. It's me that's walking up.
You're like, who are you talking to?
Yeah, so I know. And I see him looking.
Yeah.
I see him looking in the side mirror. The driver's looking in the side mirror. So as I walk up, I am getting real close to the passenger door, and the guy reaches under the seat.
Uh-oh.
Well, I opened the door.
Okay.
That's what I chose to do.
Yeah.
That was just my instinct. And as he's reaching under, I grabbed him. Back then, we could do the karate restraint. So I grabbed around his neck with my left hand, and I took my gun out. And I told the occupants of the car, if anybody moves, that they're
Dead.
They're going to die today. And the driver stopped moving, and I heard a on the floorboard. And I was like, holy shit.
He had a gun there.
Like, what I thought was correct. And now all of a sudden I'm like, fuck. Like, it's real. It's happening.
There's a gun right
But
there.
good thing
and
that
there's
he dropped it.
3 other people in the car.
Well, that gun was used to kill a girl that was on a soap opera and during the day, the Young and the Restless.
Whoa.
And she was from National City. She was killed here.
They
Adriana
traced it back
Piñon.
to it.
Yes.
Whoa.
And so I figured the reason why he took the gun out was definitely to escape custody, because he was probably going to use it on me, and then that way they can take off.
So you went in. Oh, so you got.
I went in and put him in a carotid.
Yeah.
So I put my arm around his neck. We could use the carotid back then, and I squeezed, and I took the gun out, and luckily everybody complied.
Yeah. Did you choke him out?
I did not, because
Enough for him to see the life.
Because he I
complied.
heard that thump on the floorboard, so I knew that he was compliant.
Man, you opened the door. I mean, I'm assuming that most cops, because most aren't physically trained, would have maybe saw him reach and just pull out their gun and stand back and draw it on them in that moment.
Maybe, or retreat. I don't know. At the time, that's what I did. And
Yeah.
you kind of just go with your training, and your instinct.
Yeah, because that's always, we see that because now these dash cameras, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's got an opinion on them.
Sure.
And, I grew up being, I was a bouncer. I used to get in trouble. I used to get in a lot of fights too. And when those moments hit, it's just like conscious thoughts are out the window. It's pure instinctual.
Instinct. Yeah.
Sometimes I've done, like, I blacked out. What the hell happened? Like some guy laying naked over here. I don't know. How did this happen? I'm out of here. No, girl, that never happened. But the point is that, like, I'm curious about maybe something you could talk to the listeners about people judging those cops in those moments. Meanwhile, many of them have never been in a moment like that before. About, like, there's an aspect of instinct. Like, if something happened with me, I'm just acting instinctively. But you also have to combine acting instinctively also with these the ethics of your job, the laws, no carotid. So you're trying to act instinctively, ethically, safely within these laws that keep changing. What is that like?
And not to mention the policies and procedures. So
right.
What I would say to the listeners, especially if you're interested in becoming a law enforcement officer, is that you need to interview the agency that you're interested in. Instead of then interviewing you need to interview them. Find out what are they doing to get you trained up to be the best possible professional peace officer that you can be.
Because they could be setting them up for failure in that situation by not giving them the flexibility to do what they need to do.
If you need to be trained really well so that your instinct falls back to your training.
Oh, yeah.
If your instinct falls back to your training and your training is shit, what good is that?
Oh, that's well.
But who's going to be held responsible if that happens?
Well, the person, and then the department too, right? Both of them.
Well, yeah, but the department's going to fire you. You're going to end up maybe in jail. I mean, these days, prison. I don't know. I don't want to be that guy. I want to work for an agency that's going to get me the training that I need to prevent that from happening to me. So that's why I say to the viewers, hey, if you are interested in becoming a cop, interview your agency.
What should they ask them?
We'll find out what are they providing? What are they providing? Some of the things that I've looked at that work is pre-academy training. Are they providing any type of pre-academy training, right? And your agency should take an interest in developing you from hire to retire. That whole time, from the time you get hired to the time you leave the police department, you should be continuously trained. And it should be their responsibility. Of course, you're going to do all the work.
Of course.
But they need to be able to
provide services.
Every possible opportunity for you to be well trained. Those are some of the things that I would be looking for. Not just, is it do they drive the latest car so they have the latest equipment? What are they doing to keep me safe?
Is there a gold standard? Like, maybe like, it's like, oh yeah, Salt Lake City, Utah, that department is just like this. Is there any certain department that sets the gold standard or sets the standard for the way, like, the best?
You know what? When you ask that question, no department comes to mind.
Oh, interesting.
Because there isn't one that sets the gold standard. There are a lot of departments that are doing a lot of good things. It's just that there needs to be a standard. There needs to be a standard that agencies strive to meet, and so that their employees get the reputation of being the best of the best.
Because then people would want to. I'm assuming people would want to join that academy. They'd want.
You would want to, rather than just attend a academy, and they have some good ones, some bad ones, and everybody else is in the middle. I would rather work with the 20% that are the best of the best.
Like the Navy SEALs of that.
Yes. Yeah. I want to work with the best trained department possible.
What about you personally? And everyone out there too. Juan runs, he has something called Fit PD. And Fit PD is a branch of the academy training, right? Just to be clear, where you're training. And so, you've retired essentially, right?
Correct.
And that's your primary role right now is Fit PD. That's your primary career. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, what it is it's an avenue for me to promote law enforcement and encourage people to actually join a police department, to give exposure to what we do in the academy so that people can kind of see themselves being able to do that. So like they see defensive tactics, they see physical fitness, and they can put themselves there like, hey, you know what? That looks like something I would be interested in. That looks like something that I can do. And then, a lot of the groups are really diverse. So people from different walks of life can kind of see themselves there. So that's mainly what I promote. And I promote that cops be strong and skilled and unlikely to kill. So you have to get in the gym, lift some weights, and you have to get in some kind of MMA gym and learn striking, ground, or whatever you can, something, so that we do not kill people.
So for myself, when I trained from my white belt to my blue belt in jiu-jitsu, that was 2 to 3 times a week for 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like you're training, the amount of time you have with them. They're graduating with a white belt with a 1/2 of 1 black stripe on it. Is that accurate?
The amount of time, yes, but we're not, the amount of time that we spend with them covering ground control, ground avoidance, it replaced the amount of time that we were using to teach them the carotid restraint, which was taken away after
George Floyd.
Yes, after George Floyd.
Was that one of the primary? I mean, because just, you get them a rear naked choke. It's a common move. You get back position. You get them in a rear naked, right? That's going to be the primary way you would teach that?
Well, it's one of the ways. Absolutely. The beauty of the carotid restraint was that you can have someone half the size of a suspect, put him out unconscious safely, and put him into handcuffs without having to use any further force or escalate the situation. And so people that are small can overcome somebody's resistance and put them into handcuffs safely. But now we can't do that. Now you got to resort to other tools that sometimes may or may not work.
So that was basically one of the primary go-to techniques that you were teaching it was taught nationwide to be able to, put somebody out for 5-10 seconds to cuff them. And now it's gone. And is there just a void now, or has something been?
No, what replaced that training, at least here in San Diego, was ground control, ground avoidance, some of the jiu-jitsu based, wrestling based ground skills. So that replaced it. But the amount of time that we spent doing that would not equate to a white belt. It's just an introduction,
right,
to get you in orientation. But we need a lot more training. Like
that's all the time. They basically get an orientation to each one.
They get an orientation.
I see.
That's it. How to escape mount, how to escape guard, how to escape, a choke from behind, a suspect choking you. So you get some basic skills. But if you don't practice, you forget them. You're done.
You're done.
Dang.
So let's change some gears.
Sure.
to in terms of MoveU. And
Okay.
I tend to help people. My goal is to help people be connected with their body to improve their alignment, their movement, develop a growth mindset, to take accountability for pain or whatever they may have, and ultimately help them fix their shit. And now we have with the cops in general, right? We started touching on this, and I want to go to this arm. If they're not physically fit, especially, I mean, man, these guys are going to go from sitting, eating a giant burrito to trying to chase somebody down the street.
Right.
It is like, that is, if you look at like athletics, I think the biggest study was in the NHL, and they found that most injuries happen preseason. It's whenever they go from inactive back into it, which is essentially every scenario that most cops are in.
Right.
They're going from sitting for hours and then maybe have to run, lift, get a tire off the road,
pull somebody from a car,
from ice cold to that, with progressively declining conditioning after day one.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Right.
And so with strong and skilled, less likely to kill, I love that. It's like, hey, when you're capable, myself as well, like with jiu-jitsu and my Muay Thai, I go no matter what scenario I'm in. And plus, I walk around with confidence. Like, it's like people don't fuck with me. It's rare unless somebody's really drunk or something. Not that I'm trying to fight.
Right.
But I will. And so we got the aspect of when you're strong and skilled. Right now, these officers, they got a presence to them, physical presence. The energy changes.
It does.
Oh, and the person, this confidence, this posturing, it's like, okay, there's something to this person. So strong and skilled, less likely to kill. And then if they have to use that, if they trained in the morning, trained for the day, they're feeling capable. So now we can talk about, let's move it into the aspect of pain, which the word pain is just, it's always such a frustrating word because I go, man, I get frustrated that many people wait until they're in pain before they do something about it.
Right.
And they think there's something special is needed for them once they're in pain. It's a continue. I see this continue, meaning, let's say there's a line. Let's say just call it like your bank account, like your savings account, okay? There's $0. There's the middle line here. There's a line. This below it's negative and above is positive. The more money you have above it, the more buffer you have.
Right.
You blow out your engine. All right, $6,000. I don't know if you get an old Honda. You got it. Air conditioning goes, I got. But if you got $1 in your account and you swipe the card and then now you're for a Twix bar, now you're negative. Who even knows nowadays? $2. And so that anything below that line is pain. Anything in the negative. Negative $2, you're almost out of pain. You're close. Negative whatever, 10,000, people feel like, ugh. So the same line. And then this other line, the more money, the more savings, it's like having the more physical ability you have. So it's a straight line. Negative in debt, out of debt. And you could take that baby, that line up as high, you could take it up to the Olympics.
Sure.
Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Just you climb it. So with your guys, right, let's say for the most part, relatively deconditioned. And that's why they'll start to feel pain. And especially, and I've worked with workers' comp. I've worked with it continuously for more than a decade. I had quite a bit of law enforcement come in and see me for workers' comp claims. And where, if you could walk through what your experience is with that. Because people, when they develop pain, officers, work comp, paperwork's filled out. Then now you go see these doctors. They tell you to do this, and then they say, you're not allowed to, because now you have work comp claim.
Right.
So if you get caught riding a four-wheeler, you must not be in pain. So now you can't ride a four-wheeler anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get caught golfing in a golf course, you must not be that bad. I see work comp as a negative path overall. Obviously, unless if you get shot, let's go to the emergency room. This is good.
Right.
Work comp, okay.
Right.
But then your experience, and we were just talking today about different injuries have a certain percent of them never even come back after that. And so what is your experience after your 30 years of seeing cops, the ones that take care of themselves, the ones that don't, even the ones that take care of themselves, they start developing chronic back pain because I don't want to say it's because of their job, because it's not. It's just because of them, ultimately.
Sure. Yeah, ultimately.
Ultimately, it is. Nothing causes. It's not the belt. It's not the seat. You have to prepare yourself to be able to tolerate those. But then they go in this workers' comp cyclone and get like literally can get sucked in there and be gone. And so what is your experience with what I just mentioned, if you find that to be true or not true? And what have you seen over the years?
Well, Mike, there's a couple of things that are going on. One thing I want to mention first is that you get people that get injured, don't want to go into that system, and will not say anything. They'll maybe go to a chiropractor, maybe go to an acupuncturist, maybe try to fix it on their own, but they may not know what they're doing. So then the injury, as you know, is only going to get worse. And so that we have some of that going on because some cops don't want to get into that system. They know. Don't want to get into that system.
What do they know about it?
Well, they know they don't want to be there. And number two, they know that they might have to be on light duty. So they can't do the job that they loved and signed up to do. So if the injury is not that bad, I'll suck it up. And I'll just keep doing my job.
Oh, because that injury equals, oh no.
I can't do my job.
Desk work.
I got to do a desk job. And so there are many people that just suck it up. So that's going on. Personally, what I've seen is that, I broke my arm a couple of years ago, right? And my tricep detached.
Oh.
And the tip of the bone here also detached.
There's an avulsion fracture.
So, my bone was floating in the x-ray. Because, normally you go to the doctor the day of, they take the x-ray and nothing's going on. But the doctor came back and said, hey, this piece is floating. And then the detachment of the tricep. So they put me in this soft cast and told me, yeah, you know what, we're going to wait for workers' comp because it happened at work. And we're going to, wait for them to give approval for X, Y, and Z. So I went home with a soft cast on my arm. I said, no way. I went back the next day. I said, take this thing off. I'm not gonna wear it. If you don't cut it off, I'm gonna cut it off because I'm not gonna use it. I gotta start moving my arm. I gotta start using it. There's no way. There's no way. So what I'm saying is that some of us know that you have to keep moving to heal up. Of course, if I get shot, that's a different story. However,
traumatic.
Yeah, traumatic. Absent something catastrophic. But with the arm, although, it felt it was catastrophic because I couldn't carry on my lifestyle like I wanted to, it wasn't catastrophic. Got that thing taken off, and I wasn't waiting for approval to get PT sessions because that therapy, it took like 6 weeks to get approval. But I was already in the gym the next day doing my own MoveU. Yeah, exactly. Not a plug, but it is. No, but I was doing the stuff that, I have learned from you. I was like, okay, well, let me go into your program. Let me see what applies to this section of my body.
How much of it do you know how much of it avulsed?
I still have the MRI.
Okay.
But I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just know that people looked at the back of my arm and it was really swollen, and people were like, hey man, you got to go to the ER. Because it happened during defensive tactics.
Oh.
And during scenarios, right? Pretty interactive. And then I kept teaching. I kept doing my thing. And people were like, bro, you got to go get checked out. Look at your arm. And then I looked in the mirror and it was really swollen.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to go. But yeah, it didn't look good.
Yeah.
The thing is that, because the system is so slow.
Oh.
And then
dinosaur. I mean, the speed is just.
Sometimes they deny you from the beginning.
Oh, and then they got to reapply and wait.
When it happened at work, how could you say it didn't happen at work?
Because the doctor didn't fill it out correctly.
Something. It's always something. And then you get 6 sessions of PT, and that's it. You got to resubmit paperwork to get 6 more.
Oh, yeah.
And by the time you get those 6 more, there's another month that's passed without you doing anything. You have to be proactive. You have to be an active patient and take care of your own body.
Because people will say, It's work. This is work comp. Whatever. I pay out of my salary for this. I'm going to use this system. It's going to take care of me.
Yeah, that's not a thing. It's not going to take
kind
care
of
of
a
you.
pipe dream.
No, yes, it's designed to take care of you, but it's almost counterproductive. So you need to take the initiative and really fix yourself. And so that's been my experience with several different injuries that all happen at work. And I've learned that, you know what, you just got to start moving and try to work with the doctors. But at the end of the day, the doctors are making suggestions, and it's up to you to educate yourself and decide what you want to do with your body. Fix your body, fix your own body.
And right now, there's so much information. Maybe, 20 years ago,
Oh, sure.
where are you going to get info? But now you just go and grok AI. Hey, I did this. What should I do?
Right.
YouTube videos, like
Everywhere.
it's a plethora. MoveU.com, MoveU Instagram, MoveU YouTube.
But the thing is that you got to figure out what's legit.
Yes.
That's what's legit. And so I can tell you from personal experience that you guys, legit.
Thanks. I really try to give from my heart and from the truth and from my experience. But you know what? Oftentimes, even myself, if I'm trying to learn something new, like I'm learning a new skill right now, photography, right? And I'm reading books and everything. When you start hearing it from different sources, the same thing, you go, okay, you're getting confidence that this is okay. But here's the difference. If you go to 3 work comp doctors, just so you know, that equals one opinion because they're all incentivized. They're all cut from the same cloth.
Right.
So getting opinions through different work comp doctors, don't think by doing 3 of those, if they say the same thing, 3 of those equals 1. Now, where do you get your other information from? Somebody who I'm always just about keeping people out of that whole system in general.
Right.
So do you have experience with maybe people that because you've been in for 30 years, about people you've kind of like lost due to injury in there? They've just kind of disappeared. Some people even, I had somebody recently who, client of mine, well, I worked with him a couple of times, he killed himself. He got so stuck in the system, and this was work comp, he just kept getting MRI and MRI and MRI. And then he got, we're paying out of pocket. And every MRI was showing something new. The point where he thought he was so broken into pieces that he killed himself.
Wow. That's
because of those. Now that's extreme, obviously.
That's extreme.
Super
right.
sad. Phil, R.I.P. But do you experience with that about like maybe like even depression and just like for other people underneath you or people you've known that have kind of gone that route? Maybe what's worked for them and what hasn't worked for them?
Yeah, I've had numerous coworkers that got injured at work, and they went into depression. They gained weight from not being active.
Don't move, rest it.
Yeah, rest it and eat.
Eat plenty of carbs. Yeah. Make sure you go through the food pyramid.
Yeah. So, you get these folks that kind of get lost. They kind of get lost. You don't see them for a while. They go to this place where they work at a desk and they answer phones. They maybe take crime reports over the telephone, and you won't see them for a year or 2 years. And then when you do see them, they, like I said, they have problems going on with depression. They have problems going on with their injuries. They've gained weight. There's something to the psychology of not being able to do this job when the job that you signed up to do, which you loved. And some of us get really depressed.
How many cops do you find that get into this nowadays? Maybe if it's changed over time, go into this because it's their dream. And the ones that are in there going, I love this. Versus how many of them are in it for stepping stones or they don't know what they're going to do. So they're just trying this out. Because that also can play, when I'm talking about injuries.
Sure.
If you're loving this, like my favorite people to work with, CrossFit athletes, they will do anything to stay in their sport. Love that.
Right.
But if you don't love what you're doing, you're likely to, whatever, light duty. What is your experience with that? With how many people like, is that changed?
It has changed. It has changed, Mike. When I came on, people thought of this of more of a career, more of a profession, more of a long-term commitment. And nowadays, there are people that try it out, even in the academy, and they quit a couple of weeks into it, saying, it's not for me. I'm going to try something else.
Try.
Yeah. There was a young man just quit maybe 3 weeks ago, and he said he'd rather do a desk job.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, different strokes for different folks.
All right.
But back when I came on, most of us were like, no, we want to go in a police car and stop crime.
Right.
That's what we want to do. And that's what we believed in. A lot of that has changed, Mike. People just don't see the profession the same way.
And I know you're all about positive, work with what you got. I know, but really, like, like from I'm a huge fan of anybody, law enforcement, military. I'm always about supporting them, right? Nothing but respect overall. I believe that they're out there to do good. But it appears that there is a reducing trust. Maybe that's only one side. Bleeding that over, not the other one. I'm talking like kind of like politics too. But do you see that being, why are people not as proud to be cops, if I'm saying that right, as they were?
Well, I don't know if they're proud or not. I think they don't have the passion.
Why did they have it before? Why did that group maybe 20 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
Because it does seem like when I look back, I'm 42 now, younger, very proud profession. You get into it with pride, strength. I'm going to take care of the community. And it seems like there's been to me, it seems like there's been an intentional play to kind of like dilute that.
Dilute it.
To weaken it, to talk negatively about it.
Well, that definitely has happened. And I think that, there was a time where I could walk into a courtroom, and just because I was in uniform, people would believe everything that came out of my mouth. Nowadays, juries need to see video. They question the video that they do see, and they question motives. They treat the cops as if they are on trial. And so, it's not just the people that have become cops, but I think it's our society has, for good reason. There are some cases where
bad apple, question it,
but
they're everywhere.
Every profession has
they're everywhere.
Less than 10%.
Yeah, they're everywhere. If you highlight that 10%,
well, of course,
it looks like 90.
And law enforcement is no different. So and because, if I work at McDonald's and I'm a bad apple and I burn buns all the time, it's not going to make headline news.
Right.
But if I'm a bad apple as a cop and I'm using excessive force, I'm targeting women, I'm doing things that I shouldn't be doing in the first place.
Viral news.
Viral.
And they're all about getting those views. And by the way, I don't think McDonald's buns burn. I think they tested the flamethrower. I think it's just like a repellent. It's like a fire retardant.
Maybe you can't even. They're not real.
No, if somebody's on fire, I think you just bury them with McDonald's buns and it puts it out. But that's like, I'm sure like that makes sense because these news stories gotta go. If you want to go viral, it's.
Oh yeah, they are. I always advocate on Fit PD. I say, hey, drain the swamp. I will post a story of a cop that did something wrong. And you know what? Drain the swamp. Get rid of all the garbage.
Yes.
And let's just move forward with good cops because good cops became cops to help other people.
Good cops became cops to help other people.
Correct. And so let's move forward with those people.
Right.
And get rid of the other people that we don't need that are doing things wrong. And I don't care what position you're in. I don't care if you're a brand new guy or you're the chief of police. If you're doing wrong, we don't need you in this profession. And that's what we need. We need to be able to move forward.
Do you, like, you personally, like you're fit PD, you retired. Is there, because I'm like, Juan, lead this. Go higher level. But is that motivating to you at this point? Are you like, look, I'm going to do what I can in my box here. I'm going to do what I can in these pieces of training them. You're good there. Or is there maybe enough frustration or motivation to like create change from a higher level?
Ooh. Well, Mike, I can tell you definitely that what I want to do is concentrate on my core values.
Wow.
You know, fitness, family, and giving back. Those are my core values. And every single day I do something that has something to do with that. So family, I spend time with my kids. I spend time with my wife. I do family things. Fitness, I work out every single day. 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm in the gym.
3 a.m.?
3 a.m.
Wow.
CrossFit.
Whoa.
Doing it.
Solo? Wow.
Yeah. Well, I have a gym in the house.
Sure.
So, you know, I'm not going to wake up anybody except my wife. So, you know, I get to it. And then serving. I try to help somebody that doesn't matter that I know or stranger. I help them to do something for free. That's what I try to do every single day.
You try to help somebody to just do something.
I try to help you. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. Somebody is in trouble. Somebody needs training. Somebody, whatever they need. I seek opportunities to every single day help somebody out. Even if it's just posting something to raise awareness about preventing suicide.
Sure.
You know, I try to do that to help people. And I just stick to those 3 core values every single day.
Well, how did you distill those down? Like because, you know, how did you distill them down to being those are the 3? And now you're confident that those 3 are the ones.
You know what? I took a course through Harvard Medical School.
I saw that you have a certificate through them.
Yeah. And so what I did was during the course of that class, you know, it was an amazing class. It just raised my awareness big time. And it helped with mental wellness. And it talked about longevity of life. And it talked about just aligning your core values with your daily activities. And that equals happiness, especially as we get older. We don't want to spend a lot of time with BS.
That helps keep you focused on what's important.
Exactly.
Man, you really sparked my interest with that. I'm like, because I'm very excitable. I'm like, it's easy for me to say yes to things, but I can find myself spreading my time. I mean, literally doing 1,000 things a day. And then I go, am I choosing? Am I making these decisions? What are these? But and so how did you choose those 3?
Well, you know, I just analyze my life. Where am I in my life right now? And what are the things that are most important to me?
When was this, by the way?
This was just, you know, like, I've been working on this for years.
Yes.
Right? I've been working on this for years. But I narrowed it down in the last 2 years.
Last 2 years.
In the last 2 years. Especially during retirement. You know, I just asked myself, what are the most important things in my life? Because I don't want to just wake up and be all over the place. I don't have a lot of time left. I don't know how much time I have left. I hope it's a lot of time.
Right.
But, you know, I'm older. And so what am I going to do with the rest of my time? I'm not going to, you know, like there was a time where I used to drink alcohol and I quit alcohol. And it's been a couple of decades, right? Continuously trying to get better. And so now that whatever time is left, what's the formula to become happy and the wellness, the mental wellness? And so narrow it down to my top 3 core values and just live by those 3 values every single day. Everything I do tries to just focus on that.
Family, fitness, giving back.
That's it.
Wow. And I also saw that you, and also I did mention you guys, Juan also has, I think you got a bachelor in communication and then you have a master's degree in, I think, human behavior.
Human behavior. Yes.
Yeah.
It just helped me, communicate with criminals and understand their mind.
Did you ever do negotiations?
I did negotiations with people that were trying to kill themselves.
You did.
Mm-hmm. That was interesting.
Yeah. What was your take home from that?
Oh, man, the takeaway from that.
What did you learn?
The takeaway from that was going home and appreciating what I had.
Oh, because you saw people at the lowest.
At the lowest.
And then you're like, and it is truly a compare. Like, that's what you see, like maybe an athlete that has no legs and arms and somehow they paddleboard. You're like, he did it. I still have both my arms and damn legs. What am I complaining about?
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's watching the guy that's got no hips and no arms and legs. He's like, I got my body.
I have everything.
I have everything.
Yeah.
That was your main, you think?
That was my takeaway.
I mean, think back at that time.
I know that was my takeaway because it sometimes, we focus on the negative when we see so much traumatic situations as cops,
right,
as first responders. And early on, I just decided to start trying to take away the positive of every situation. And in those situations, I just went home and I realized that, I have a lot to be thankful for, and I shouldn't take it for granted.
Mm. No, but there are also, right, look, when you're a cop in a day-to-day life, there are, let's just say, you don't perform to your best in a situation. You do something wrong. You go to grab somebody that's
We're human.
Shit. How do you assess a situation like that? Because obviously you're taking away something positive, but maybe assessing what went wrong.
Right.
Maybe what you could do about how do you handle those situations?
Well, you know what? This is what I tell the recruits, because not only do I teach defensive tactics, I teach numerous other courses in the classroom. And when I'm talking to recruits, I tell them, hey, you know what? We're human beings. We're not perfect. But what you need to do is recognize that you screwed something up, recognize it, accept it, analyze it. On your way home, think about how can you do it better and how can you prevent that from happening again.
Mm.
And that's all you can do as a human being, is try to be better than you were yesterday.
Yeah, and I always try to put the word on. I think the best phrase that I know for that is growth mindset. You're like,
oh, right.
And that's how I try to teach people their body. It's like, I'm in pain. The chiropractor did this, or the surgeon did this, or I'm wearing my belt. It's this belt I have in my hips, or I sit all day. It's like, there's no growth mindset in that. There is blame mindset.
Right.
And I'm sure that cops can go, yeah, I did, but he came out and did this and he did this. Do you think that growth mindset is something that's mostly, because I know people that have just blamed and then they died, like not from that, but they just never figured it out.
Mm.
Is growth mindset, it obviously is a skill to develop, but do you think it's something that's inherent in people, or do you think it's something that needs to be, have you always had that mindset of like assessing it, taking responsibility for it? How can I improve it?
No, I believe that it's something that you learn. So you learn to do through life experiences and maturity. As we grow older, we should become more responsible.
Right.
And we should be able to look in the mirror and say, hey, snap out of it. Look what you did today. We're not doing that again tomorrow. And the toughest conversation you're ever going to have is with yourself.
So true. Jeez.
Because we don't want to look in the mirror. I don't like that guy.
Parts of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I only want to look at the good side. I don't want to look at the bad side.
Yeah.
And we're all like that.
Yeah, I've had, even, can't really promote this with officers, but I've had, you name the type of spiritual therapy, the 10-day silent meditations retreat I've done. But like I try to actively do different plant medicine journeys, help me see through things. And it's like these things, I'm like, I don't know without those experiences that I did, if I ever would have seen certain aspects of me, because the ego can bury them up.
Right.
And I'm assuming that's something with cops too. That's just who you are, is that so you're probably intentionally and subconsciously helping them develop that, because if they're taking responsibility for something, I'll even say with pain, bat in their back, whatever it may be.
Right.
versus if they do something wrong in the field.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's something that's part of the mindset. I said that's the main mindset issue with MoveU are 4 pillars: movement, mindset, alignment, recovery. The 4 pillars. And that mindset ultimately is, I believe, a growth mindset is really the key. If you've got a growth mindset, you're growing and developing along the way.
You're willing to.
Yes. You're willing to.
Yes.
Damn. Man, this is great. Is there anything you want to add in here that anything I missed or anything you really want to add and share?
What do I want to share? Something about
If I didn't cover something,
like I don't know how relevant this is, but sometimes we want to become cops and we don't realize that the job makes you sick, not just physically, which it does, but mentally. And some of the equipment that we use sets you up for failure if you're not proactive. And you mentioned this. You mentioned that, you got to set yourself up. You got to work on your posture. You got to work on your body mechanics, and don't blame the equipment. Don't blame other stuff. But like, for instance, the vest, it restricts you. And we put it on tight because we want to look good. We don't want to look like a sack of potatoes. So we put it extra tight.
the bulletproof vest.
The bulletproof.
Do they wear that daily?
Daily, front and back.
Really?
And it just restricts your breathing. So diaphragmatic breathing, nobody knows what that is.
No.
First of all, we don't know what it is. Number two, if we know what it is, you can't do it because the vest is crushing your diaphragm. So all you're doing is you're breathing with your traps and your shoulders and your upper chest. Now, the CO2 production through the roof.
Sure.
Blood pressure, pulse, cortisol release. It's just out of control. And we're talking for years. What does that do to your body? Well, no wonder we have like cardiovascular disease. No wonder we have other strokes, and we have other illnesses associated with elevated levels of cortisol and other stressor types of.
Do you know
chemicals.
if cops have a higher? Do you know if they have different diseases that are more prone to from being cops?
They are, I believe, 8 presumptive diseases and injuries that are recognized by the city of San Diego.
Do you know what those are?
Oh, well, I know that one of them was PTSD.
Oh, right.
Yes, PTSD is one of them. Right. Lower back injuries is another one.
Yep.
We also have, I can't remember the rest, but one that is missing that should be in there should be lung-related stuff, because we're not breathing properly and we're developing issues.
Yeah, as a result of improper. And breathing is it's pretty much the first thing I teach nowadays. And it's the one thing I neglected 10 years ago to teach.
But it's so important.
Oh.
So important.
Do you cold plunge yourself? Do you practice?
You know what? The answer is no.
You know what? I want to, but hold on. The answer is no.
The extent that I will go is in the morning, maybe I'll jump in the pool. And that's it. That's my cold plunge. And I get right out.
Yeah. Quick jump in.
Yeah. Or sometimes I turn on the jacuzzi, and once that's warm, I jump in the cold pool and then jump in the jacuzzi.
Okay, guys, you give yourself just a quick hit.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been doing pool right now, slowly warming up every day, but it's still cool. Is there anything else we talked about, we covered today? Man, pretty much some challenges that just the police force, based on different politics and different laws and different that they're facing, especially regarding the training aspect of it and just the minimal training. And really, it comes down to each cop has to look out for themselves and do the training. It should be this way, but it isn't that way. So this is the way it is. They're responsible for it. Yes. But ultimately, more physical training and more, hand-to-hand combat takedown grappling skills. That's one of your core beliefs. The strong and skilled, less likely to kill.
Correct.
I love that. It hits you at the end there.
That's what it's intended to do.
And you guys got to check out. It's at FitPD.
Correct.
Yeah.
PHITPD.
P on Instagram. Is there any other way people can stay connected with you? And
TikTok. Same one.
Oh, TikTok.
FitPD.
FitPD.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And if you really want to be connected with Juan, then you join the San Diego Police Academy.
Oh, and I'll see you there on day one.
Yeah, day one. Day
or
one.
day two. I'll see you for many days.
Man, this has been great. Well, I learned so much, even just things we're talking about, the core values. That's just really, that was really, I'm really set with me there. Somebody need to clarify, because I think I have like 15 of them. So we got that's too many.
You got to narrow it down.
You got to narrow it down. You can't hit on 15 at once. Maybe pick 3 a year, three for 3.
Sleep. You can't sleep with 15.
No, it's true. The day never ends with 15. You go to sleep, you just end the day and just sleep and wake up and goes. We also talked about different injuries and just, we didn't really talk too much about prevention of those, but I mean, it ultimately is the movement, the mindset, and the alignment, which you obviously know about yourself by improving your shoulder. We talk about different types of guns and bean bags. You really didn't have all the information with those.
I'm not a gun guy.
But man, it's been great. And I really, we've been trying to work an angle with the police department for years, right?
Right. For years.
We were close, whatever. And then something changed instantly. And now I think we're
right there.
I think we're there.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited too. And
well, they're really lucky to get somebody like yourself to come in and help everybody, from the new hires to veteran people to the support staff, just to fix their stuff.
I love to too. I didn't realize how close I was too to that old stadium. I'm only 20 minutes away. It's easy for me.
Right there.
And hopefully we can get something going with them where, start with the workshops.
Yeah.
Help people make improvements, feel it, share it with everybody. Because I ultimately believe as well that I can help people with those 4 aspects too, to help them feel more powerful in their job, feel more confident in their job. And then if we can even get it into the curriculum.
Into the curriculum.
Yeah. Oh, my, it'd be great to get it into the curriculum. Get them in, just teach them early about daily warm-ups that are going to help them.
Right.
Proper positioning when they sit, when they stand, how to position themselves when they have this belt with this vest, how tight to tighten it. Like, those videos did well. We made like 8 years ago on it.
Oh, I know. They did.
Especially the donuts getting on. Oh, that's so funny. But I really, I hope that it works out. It allows me, because what happened with me is, I have my clinic where I have I felt like I was giving the community, because I would go to people's birthday games. I would go over here but then when I went digital, now I'm like, my impact's a lot bigger, but it's more like a worldwide. There's not much community aspect to MoveU. It's not local.
It's not anymore.
No.
But
I'm missing that.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, let's get back to the
home.
Yeah, I feel it right.
Yeah.
It also helped tie me down a little more San Diego, because I've been on the fence with San Diego in general. Give me some other ties here. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully that we can do this together. To whatever aspect you're able to.
Whatever you need from me, I'm here to support you.
You always have.
You mentioned that you can get people back to working and doing their job, doing the job they love. But another thing is that they also getting back to living their life. There was a cop that was shot many years ago. I want to say maybe 15 years ago. And I hadn't seen him for a couple of years, maybe 3 years. And I ran into him. He was kind of retiring because of his injury to his hand and to his arm. And he was telling me that one of the things he missed is being able to hold his baby in his arms. And if there was any way, I would think, for this officer to actually get healthy and be able to have more mobility and usage of that arm, how priceless is that?
It is ultimately, we end up, their goal might be able to get back to full duty or something, but really full duty means full duty in life. It's just like we're training. A lot of people train in the gym. They'll be like, they're training for that hour. but really to get muscles. But really, the training is training for life, to be capable to take on life,
Right.
to respond to life. If the zombies come, you got to be able to run faster than your friend.
That's right. That's right.
You do. And so I do. And so there was the quote, it was Tony Robbins. It was like a healthy man has 10 dreams and a sick man only has one. Right. And it's just like you lose all those big goals whenever you're paying. It's like, I just want to be able to like pick up my kid or do this.
Yeah.
But so ultimately, yeah, it's about police force, but it's ultimately about them just getting the confidence in themselves again to live.
To live.
To live life. What do you want? A jet ski, to snowmobile, to pick up your kids. Like every man and woman has it in them and has the right and deserve. I don't want to say deserves because you got to work to deserve. It has the ability to live their life with no limits. They have the ability to do that. Or let's just say, yeah, they don't have the ability. It's more of a possibility. They have to develop the ability. I almost got that out right. I'm missing a couple of keywords. But that's, I'm happy to do that. And I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here. Really
Thanks,
do.
Mike.
Really
It's been a
do.
great day today.
It's been a great day.
Yeah.
I could hang out with you for half the day too. Split up in the middle with a workshop over at Fit. It's great. Now I'm actually going to my wife. I'm going to go to her class she teaches, which it's all women's, but this is the husbands are allowed to come tonight.
Okay. Special guest.
It's a special guest. She's always been too embarrassed to take me. I don't know what you're going to do. You're going to grab my butt in class or maybe. So I'm going to go embarrass her a little bit right now and do a little dance yoga.
Wow.
Not really my favorite, but I'm trying to be a good husband here.
You know what? You're doing it for the family.
I'm doing it for the family. I love that. There you go. Attaches to the value.
That's it.
Juan, thanks again.
Thank you, Mike.
All right,
Appreciate
guys.
it,
Hope
man.
you guys enjoy this episode.